Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, brothers and sisters, and everyone listening on the World Wide Web and beyond. This is the Global Reality with your host, Josh Reeves.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another edition of the Global Reality right here on the Global Reality Radio Network with me, your host, Josh Reeves. This is the Tuesday, September 8th, 2015 edition of the broadcast. Thank you very much for joining us. So glad you could tune in and be here with us for another edition of the show. Hope you had a great weekend and hope you were having fun and hanging out with, whoever you like to hang out with over the Labor Day holiday. I was busy as it holidays, weekends, weekdays, none of that shit exists for me. It's just one big day that never ends, that's interrupted by a little bit of sleep every now and again. But I sometimes don't even know what day it is, seriously. Forget it's true. I don't know what day it is sometimes. Well, just kind of seems to bleed together. But I hope you had a nice one regardless. You know, I noticed something over the weekend. I thought this was hilarious. It's so funny. It's great. I really think that social media now has almost become like it's the new social Darwinism, really. I mean, boy, if you want to weed, there's no better way than to weed people, out of your life or out of your view, your range of view. Than seeing some of the stuff people post on social media sometimes, because oftentimes, you know what social media is, especially Facebook and stuff. It always ends up being. That's why I think high school reunions at this stage in life are completely null and void. I don't know why they still have high school reunions, 10-year reunions, 20-year reunions. They should be obsolete after Facebook, really. Because, you end up getting added by all the people you went to high school with, some people, you never thought you'd even see again outside of maybe something like that, a reunion or something. I mean, I still have, a couple of friends that I've known going all the way back to the olden days, but not, you never think you're going to really have any contact or anything about these people. And so that's kind of, I guess, why they have reunions. You catch up with people you used to know and that kind of thing. But social media has made that kind of stuff irrelevant. It's made it completely obsolete because I don't need to see people I went to high school with or went to school with 10, 20 years ago anymore, because every day now I know what they had for dinner last night. They posted a picture. I know what their cat looks like and how many times a day it goes to the bathroom because they post pictures. And so excuse me, I think the whole high school reunion thing should have been null and voided once that stuff came in, because it's hilarious. But anyway, I noticed just from seeing, it's funny because I always thought there would probably be at least, one other person besides myself and my friend that also went to school with and I'm still friends with, that would, be knowledgeable about the kind of stuff I talk about on the show. But boy, I tell you what, not a one of them. Not a one of them. I mean, and I see the majority, point of view on that. I mean, these I don't know. They're stuck in their programmed reality, and they choose not to see anyway, and that's fine. But when I see shit like what I'm about to tell you about, it just enrages me, because it really, to me, in this day and age, and I've said this before, in this day and age, if you are ignorant and you are not intelligent, you are not informed in this day and age, then it's strictly self-imposed. Some people want to be stupid. Ignorance is, there's just no excuse for it anymore. We have more information available to us now on almost every subject. It really is almost like the equivalent of the Matrix. Being able, being able to go to YouTube or something and find out how to do something. I mean, God, I wish I would have had that years ago. I mean, you don't have to go to a vocational school or go, take classes to learn stuff anymore. It's insane. Go to YouTube. You can be an expert in something in a short amount of time. It's almost like a download right into your brain. There's just no excuse anymore for willful ignorance. But so many people still, and it's really men more than anything, but women too, but really men, they have this, there's a lot of guys at my age even, and even younger, that are still kind of stuck in that, that stereotypical male worldview. So it's, it's hilarious to see some of the stuff you see posted sometimes, but I saw one over the weekend that just fucking A, man, it took the cake. It used to be really bad for me in the early days of social media. I laid off. I learned to eventually let go, but god damn, in the early days of social media, it was like, it really was an eye-opener for me, because to me, it was for the first time you get to really see, kind of like what I mentioned earlier. I mean, it separates the wheat from the chaff real quickly, in my opinion. Because there are people who, you might have thought for a long time, were on the ball and had it together and were intelligent and whatnot. But man, they can show you their cards real fucking quick with that social media, can't they? Real fucking quick. And it's funny because it's become a big thing now. I mean, this thing is affecting relationships. It's affecting people's point of view, and sometimes about people they've known for all their lives. And it's easy to say that's a bad thing, but I think in a lot of ways it is a good thing. It can have negative effects too, but for me, I just love being able to, and but the funny thing is, when I look at the list, when I start, because let me go back to what I was saying. A few years ago, I guess, well, it's been more than a few years. I guess this was probably 2009 or something like that when I first started getting into the social media. I only got into it. I stayed away from it forever, and I only got into it because I needed it as a tool to promote my show and my work and all that stuff. So that's the only reason I ever got involved into it at all. But eventually, because people that know me and people that, whatnot, would add my my page there, there was a lot of people that probably saying, thinking the same thing about me, like, whoa, I'm sure it's, it's the other way around as well. The people that I'm looking at going, man, I thought that guy was together, this, that, and the other, and they're, I know they're looking at me the same way, which is fine. But my goodness gracious, people, this kind of stuff, this is what I saw over the weekend. Some of you may have seen this too. I saw this meme. Someone that I went to high school with posted this meme, and it was that picture from the last Iraq war, in quotation marks. That famous picture that they used to milk more patriotic sympathy out of Americans and to get more Americans behind support for that. Well, let's just call it what it is. It was a genocide, not a war, but that's neither here nor there, I guess. Well, that famous picture of the coffins on the C-130, the back of the coffins with the American flags draped over them. There's like 8 or 10 or 12 or 50,000 or however many there are in that fucking picture. And they've now used that in memes anytime there's any sort of patriotic holiday. 4th of July, Memorial Day, D-Day, Veterans Day. I mean, I've seen it used over and over and over again for, they just take the picture and apply whatever, holiday it is to it. And I shit you not, I saw this and I went, oh man. Because as I was saying, when I first started getting into social media, I had this tendency to just pounce on everybody. Any idiocy that I saw and anything that didn't agree with things as I know them to be, man, I would just fucking jump over people. Because, and I did it with good reason. I mean, it was good intent. I wasn't trying to be intentionally mean to anyone, but at that point, I was so done. And I still am now, but I've learned to be more tolerant. But I was just so done with that sort of willful ignorance that I mentioned before, that anytime I saw people say anything that was, not in agreement with things as I know them, as I've found through my research and whatnot, I would just pounce on them. And so I've kind of learned, I've eased up over the years. I've gotten better. I hardly ever do it anymore at all. I did it a month or two ago. I saw there was a post about fluoride going around, and some Yahoo left a comment on this post saying, well, they only put such and such in microns of fluoride in the water, and that small of amount's never going to hurt anybody. I'm going, whoa, buddy, you just flat. And he's all talking also like he's some expert. Dude, you have no idea what you're talking about. You are just flat ignorant of the facts. It has nothing to do with how much they put it in the water. It has to do with the fact that fluoride builds up in your body slowly over time. And it's a byproduct of the aluminum industry. And we wonder why we have, not only autism rates going through the roof, also, caused from the aluminum and the mercury and everything. But we also have skyrocketing rates of dementia and Alzheimer's and that whole thing, which they have found to be largely caused by, exposure to aluminum. Well, we have aluminum in a lot of our deodorants and antiperspirants and all that stuff. They're spraying aluminum in the air. We get it in our water. Go look at your towns. It's publicly available knowledge no matter where you live. They have to do a water sample test, and they have to make the information of what's contained in the water publicly available to you. And I recently did this where I live here on the outskirts of Dallas. And I started looking around at other towns, and it blew me away. Because the water, if you look at, and these are publicly available records, they have to make it public to everybody by law, so you can see what's in your water. And I was blown away to see that the two most abundant, off the charts things that naturally occur in our water are aluminum and barium. And those are the two things that come from what? Chemtrail spray. And just to see that publicly admitted and have the rest of the general public really just not even know or care, and have this gentleman on this post telling me, well, it's such a small amount. No, it builds up in your body over time. It has an effect on your body over long periods of time. That's what these aluminum things do. And so it's just willful lack of ignorance. It just makes me want to pounce on people and hit them with facts. And I'm never generally mean. I don't really, but you can always tell when somebody doesn't want the truth, or they just flat refuse to see it. When you're being totally nice and you're being totally polite, and all of a sudden they start resorting to getting nasty with you. And that's when because I had this one, I don't know, there was a few years ago. There was a girl and she made some post about, oh, the Dalai Lama is so great and this and that about the Dalai Lama. And I said, that Dalai Lama is not even he's an imposter, right? He's a fucking Chinese imposter. The real Panchen Lama was kidnapped and replaced by the Chinese with an imposter, so that his political points of view always agree with China and are never in the benefit of Tibet. And if you look at, that is a fact with the Dalai, that's exactly what he's done. And I was polite about it. I just said, maybe you didn't know about this. Here's, I gave her links and said, look, here's the facts. Here's what happened. Read about it. And they didn't even respond banned me, blocked me, everything else you can imagine. And like I said, I wasn't rude or mean, or I just said, hey, I don't really agree with what you're saying about the Dalai Lama here, because if you look at the facts, this guy's a fraud. He's a political installed figurehead by the Chinese government that's there to use this large religious population, and specifically Tibetans and people like that, to go towards the policies of the Chinese government. And that didn't matter to her. And that's a problem with a lot of people. A lot of people flat just don't want the truth. They'd rather live in willful ignorance than have to accept the fact that they didn't catch or didn't realize on their own that they'd been lied to. It's that pride. You feel that, boy? That's pride fucking with you. You got to fight through that shit. Seriously, that's I mean, for Pulp Fiction, that's exactly right. That's what that is. People's pride gets in the way of their own expansion of knowledge and their own ability to admit. Because if you're ever going to come fully into the truth and fully be able to wrap your mind around this stuff, you have to understand and realize and accept the fact that we have been lied to about virtually everything. And that there is very little. People always say, oh, you can't say everything is a conspiracy. No, you can't. Almost everything is a conspiracy. Almost everything is. We've been lied to, manipulated, and sold a bill of goods on all fronts on just about everything you can imagine, from science to religion to everything. And it's just too scary and too big for some people to even wrap their minds around. And you know what? That's fine. I mean, some people, not to be rude here, but some people don't have the kind of mind like you have. It's, it's just the way it is. But this gentleman, this person I went to high school with, he posted that picture of the, it was a meme with the coffins in it, with the soldiers. And it said, never forget that this is what allowed you to have this wonderful 3-day weekend right now. And I went, oh, God, really? Dude, it's fucking Labor Day. It's not Memorial Day or Veterans Day or D-Day or any other war-related day. Labor Day, numbnuts, had to do with, the Labor Party and unions, labor unions, and setting up, workers' rights and, the 40-hour work week and all that stuff that we all take for granted now. But when Americans still cared about and still had the power, actually did have some power to change things, now you try to change things, they don't give a fuck. Not unless it fits right in with their overall agenda. But back then, people actually got up off their ass. The government and whatnot at that time still realized that the people had the power because they hadn't been enslaved and, dumbed down and lulled into a trance yet, like we have been now. And, they fought for workers' rights, which were not given. I mean, it was basically, just a continuation of less. It still is today. I mean, it's still, the indentured servitude labor slave system is still intact today, but they made it at least a little bit better for their time. So they commemorated it with, the 3-day weekend and whatnot. It had nothing to do with a fucking war or the war in Iraq or those goddamn soldiers in the back of the C-130 with the flag straight over their coffin. Had nothing to do with fucking Labor Day. Now, maybe if you wanted to post a picture from, say, World War I or something and say, okay, something happened around the time when the labor unions and all that stuff occurred. Maybe I could see that. That's still a big jump and a big stretch for me, but maybe I can see that. But trying to connect this dead soldiers in the coffins that happened in for that picture's from like 2004, 2003, 2004, somewhere in there. And try to connect that with something that happened 100 years previously. I mean, god damn, the bounds of which people's undying and just willfully ignorant servitude and obedience to a flag and a military and a government, and the police, just this unending thing. I mean, there are some people out there that are so brainwashed and love the system and love the establishment so much that they'll claim that the media makes up. Now, we all know the media lies. We don't have to argue that. Everybody knows that. But to claim that the media lies every time that a report comes out of a cop doing something, they cherry pick this stuff because, they take somebody like me and says, okay, the media lies about this, media lies about that. And then they say, oh, well, you say the media lies about this and that. What makes you think they wouldn't lie and say cops are doing stuff bad when they're actually not? And you know what? You're exactly right. There's nothing that would stop them from doing that. They'll do fucking anything. I don't give a fuck. They'll report anything. They're the same way. And we wonder why we have people that have been engineered and programmed this way, why our society has become this way. People are ignorant because they're force-fed ignorance every day. TV, internet, doesn't matter. Idiocy is on the go now. You get it on the instantaneous idiocy with smartphones now. You can have your idiocy anywhere now. Remember when you used to leave your desk at work to go drop a deuce just so you could get away for a minute, Oh, I'm going to go drop a deuce, but really I'm just going to sit in here on the toilet. Now you can take your phone with you and you can have a little fucking material. You can, you know what I mean? You can check sports scores. You can watch a YouTube video all right there while you're dropping a deuce. Idiocy is on speed dial now. And so when we've been fed nothing but lies and pure propagated horse shit by the media for so long, I mean, of course we're going to end up with people where that's what they want. But it just blows me away to see this blind ignorance and this blind following and just a flat ignoring the facts. Well, I don't give, because I've actually heard people say these exact words. And I'm not talking about one person. I've heard several people say this in my life. Well, I even if I knew everything that you were saying to me was true and that the government does this and that and everything you said they do is true, you know what? I wouldn't care. I wouldn't even worry about it. You know why? Because I love my country. I'm American. I stand by my country no matter what. You think I give a shit if they're killing little kids over there in some damn sand nigger land over there where damn raghead Hodges are at? You think I give a fuck about that? I don't give a fuck about them motherfuckers one bit because they want to kill me because I'm a Christian. You think I give a fuck about them Hodges? I don't give a fuck about any one of them. Hell, I'd go over and kill them myself if they'd let me go. Piece of shit. I don't give a fuck what you're saying about 9/11 or this, that, and the other. I don't give a shit. I hope it's true. There, I said it. I hope it's true. Because at least I know my government's doing something. Fighting these goddamn Hodges. I mean, I'm not kidding you. I'm from Texas. I have heard people say word for word exactly what I just said. I have heard that. I have heard that said. Not even kidding you. Not even kidding you one bit. I have heard that said. There are people out there, folks, they don't give a damn what kind of truth you got. They are so blinded by the patriotic crap that were force-fed in these military indoctrination camps they call public schools. From the very beginning, stand in line, stand straight, keep your mouth shut, do what you're told. take what we give you and regurgitate it back out to us exactly the way we gave it to you. And if you delineate any at all and put any kind of spin on it, anything that resembles creativity or individuality, we are going to single you out. We're probably going to advise that you get put on SSRIs or some sort of, Ritalin or some drug like that because, oh, by the way, the schools get kickbacks from the pharmaceutical companies for having quotas. If they reach a quota and they have a certain percentage of their kids in their school that are on these attention deficit disorder drugs or whatever they may be, the schools and the teachers and all these people, they get kickbacks for that, folks. It is a fact. And that's nothing new. That's been going on for a long time. I remember my little sister, I think she was back, it was probably 12, 13 years ago, but I remember she wrote an article all about that. And it was like a contest for some article for the school, and whoever won got it printed in the local newspaper, and hers actually won, and it pissed the entire school off. They were fucking pissed because it exposed, they had no choice. They didn't want to print it. They said no, even though she won, they said no, we're not going to print that. They were like, why not? Well, because, basically it implicates us. And it went to the school board and stuff, I think. And anyway, she ended up getting it published. But yeah, it was they didn't want to publish that because, of course, that's exactly the truth, and that's exactly what these public indoctrination school systems are all about. About producing more good, patriotic citizens that go along and do what they're told to do and live their lives exactly as they're told to live them. So it's just fascinating to me, the whole social media thing is fascinating because it's fascinating to see the type of people that end up going that route and going that mindset that, you look at them from the lens that you knew them at when you were young, and there's some I look at and go, man, I would have never thought that guy would have went that route or what have you. And again, they probably think the same thing about me, and that's fine. But the whole social media thing, it's very fascinating to see. And I tell you, it just blew my top just to see that attempt to associate Labor Day, which has nothing to do with military or war or anything else like that, trying to associate that with Labor Day. It's just, my God, let it go for once. These people are so brainwashed and so manipulated by the flag waving hysteria that they'll attempt to connect everything with something, patriotic when it doesn't even have to be. I mean, that really is Stalin level mind control brainwashing. And nothing can teach you this quicker than watching, because of course, now we have YouTube, everything's available. But go and watch old, 1970s or 1980s or whatever. Go watch old Russian propaganda films and TV shows. I mean, they are bizarro land stuff. You're like, what the fuck is this? The most random shit you've ever seen in your life. Like it's more random than any of those random cartoons that they have now, like Aqua Teen Hunger Force or, any of that random, like a Family Guy or any of that shit that's just random. I mean, that's how this Soviet era propaganda is. It's just random stuff. People breaking out and singing songs, and then they're, little kids singing about, Mother Russia. But when you watch this stuff and you're like, well, you think for a minute, you're like, wow, this is fucked up. I can't believe, that a state or a country would do this to the people. This is flat brainwashing. And then you watch of it and you're like, wait a minute. This shit's like 30 years ahead of its time. This is the kind of stuff they're giving us now. This just drivel that's peppered sometimes with this patriotic flag waving hysteria. It really is insane. And as you meet people from all over the world, you realize, and I've come to realize this for years, knowing people all over the place, all over the world, and meeting people who live all over and who come from all over. I mean, the propaganda is everywhere. It's in every country, but goddamn. Speaking from my own vantage point here in the United States of America, I tell you what, I don't think any country is more propagandized and more just lied to and programmed than we are. And people unplugging and getting out of that really is a serious threat to the power structure. So every single time that someone awakens from their technologically imposed slumber and starts to have a revealing of this information and of knowledge and starts to understand it, it's a blow to them. And that's why I've always continued to make that my mission, in whatever way I can. I mean, nobody's perfect. But that's always been my mission here. It'll never stop being my mission. And I luckily have had, thousands and thousands of people over the past 8 years tell me that I was a huge part of their awakening. And, people have written me and said, I've had several people now. I wrote this book. I was inspired by you. I heard you read Emerald Tablets of Thoth, and I wanted to become a writer, and I became a writer, and I published my first book, and here it is. I'm going to send you a copy. I mean, it's happened so many times. It's crazy. And that's amazing. Because that's really all I've ever wanted to do is just to do my part and take my years and years and years and years and years of research and looking at this stuff and throw it into the mix and allow people to take what they can from it. And this is our 8-year anniversary this month. All month long, we're going to be celebrating the 8-year anniversary of the Global Reality. We started, I think, September 26th, something like that, 2007. And we've been going ever since. And that's, again, that's attributed to all of you out there. And we're going to keep pushing forward. Last month, we put out, in anticipation of our 8-year anniversary here, we put out our Global Reality, the first 7 years, 2007 to 2014, 50-hour, 17 MP3 audio collection. 50 hours total, folks. That's a lot of audio. It spans 2007 to 2014. A lot of the best bits from all the shows. If you didn't hear a lot of those shows, there's tons of great information in there. You can get a download in our download shop right now for $20, and you can find the download shop from the link in the middle of the page at my website where this broadcast originates from, which is www.theglobalreality.com. So we, just a few weeks ago, released the Global Reality, the first 7 years audio. Now, this week, we have released the films of Josh Reeves, the first 7 years, 2007 to 2014. In honor of not only 8 years in broadcasting, September 2015 also marks 8 years of filmmaking for Josh Reeves. For the first time ever, you can get the first 5 full-length films from me in one pack with files small enough to be transferred and played on almost any device. Please note, these versions are not the full HD quality you get with the individual downloads, so only go this route if you need the smaller file size due to hard drive space limitations, or if you prefer size over quality. They're still really good quality. You just don't want to blow them up to full screen on a TV or put them on a TV box or something because it'll be pixelated. But if you're going to watch them on a phone or a tablet or something like that, or maybe not a full screen window, they still look really good. They're the smallest I could get these films, the absolute smallest I could get them. And they're still in HD. They're just small, but they look really good. But you get... you get the first 7 years of my films, the first 5 films: 9/11 New World Rising, original theatrical cut, 2007. The Secret Right, Volume 1, 2009, that's remastered in HD. Secret Volume 2, 2012. That's remastered in HD. And The Lost Secrets of Ancient America Volume 1 and The Lost Secrets of Ancient America Volume 2, all in one pack. Each file is, I think they range from, anywhere from around a gig on up. I think, the larger films are going to be a little longer, but $35. It's 8.5 gigs. Please do not purchase this if the file size is too big for your bandwidth. And as a general rule, if you're having problems, if you ever have problems with your downloads, either the films or the payload store or from the archives, the audio archives, I haven't put this out there, and I need to put this out there. For some reason, the browser Firefox just flat doesn't work with either one of those things very well. It doesn't work with payloads very well, and it doesn't work with, in my opinion, it doesn't work with jack shit very well. I fucking hate Firefox. If you're using Firefox, you should ditch that shit. Use a different browser. It's never been compatible with any of the stuff that I use. It's not compatible with payloads, and it's not very compatible with Podbean either, which is where our members' archives are at. And 99.9% of the time, if people have problems with that stuff, it's always, and they're like, they think I'm psychic. I'm like, you're using Firefox, aren't you? They're like, how'd you know that? I'm like, because the only time we ever get any problems always comes from when somebody's using a Firefox browser. So if you have problems with that, try that. There's also a link for payloads. If you have problems with your downloads, stuff timing out or stuff not working correctly, 99% of the time it's because the download didn't finish properly. You just need to download it again. But there's some very specific instructions that payloads want you to use for those downloads. So, number one, don't use fucking Firefox. And then number two, go to your search engine and type in payloads, download instructions. Payloads, download instructions, and it'll pull up download instructions, and you just follow those to the letter, and it'll work. So, but yeah, 99.9% of the time people have problems. It comes from just using Firefox. I don't know what it's. Firefox just sucks. I used it for a while, 5 or 6 years ago, and I took it off my computer. It was the most virus prone. That thing like shut down one of my computers. It's the most virus prone, hackable piece of shit. I think that whole, I'll be honest with you, I think that whole not operating system, but I think that whole browser is a piece of spyware. It's just one giant piece of spyware that just slows your computer down. It doesn't work with, a lot of web-based programs, and it has big-time problems with Flash crashing and constantly needing to be updated like every day. That's the other thing I remember. It was like, I'm not kidding. I understand Flash has to update periodically, but Firefox needs to update Flash like fucking 10 times a day. It's ridiculous. So, again, that stuff is, if everybody else, we never have any problems with downloads whatsoever. Never one. But every single time there's a problem, the first thing I say now is, are you using Firefox? And they always say, yes, I am. And I say, well, that's your problem. That's the problem. Firefox just sucks. It's a piece of shit. So, anyway, go to our download shop and get yourself, get both of them. Get the first 7 years audio and get the first 7 years film collection, too. $35, you get 5 films. $20, you get 50 gigs, or 50 hours, rather, not 50 gigs, 50 hours of audio. So you're going to get 5 films, full-length films, and you'll get 50 hours audio for $55. That's hard to beat. But yeah, we are celebrating 8 years this month. We're going to have a lot of big surprises coming up for you. Some special videos that we're going to be putting out. Maybe even some guests. We'll see how that goes. Trying to nail some stuff down right now. And we are also, because this is the 8-year anniversary of the show, and I always feel obligated, and I feel it more now than ever, because it's been 8 years. And that's a fucking long time, and a lot of people don't make it that long, and I'm grateful. And it just makes me want to. Every year we make it another year, it fires me up even more. It makes me want to even go crazier with this stuff and make more films and do more shows and I have more ways to, because I've got enough material to make 20 films, probably more than that. But it's always being able to have the funding and the ability to be able to do all this stuff that always holds us back. We barely scraped by last month yet again. Thank you so much to those people who came through the last minute and contributed. But right now, again, after we paid the operating costs and everything, we're sitting almost at zero. So we have a 8-year anniversary fundraiser that we're doing this month to kick this thing into an even higher gear. I talked about this on a recent show about possibly doing this. I decided to do an experiment this month. And if it works and we're successful at it, it could be very interesting to see how this plays out. And I think a lot of you out there, yourselves, especially ones that have been listening to my show for a long time, and even ones that maybe have not been listening that long, would be very interested in this experiment. I talked about this recently, and I talked about maybe doing this, but we're going to try this month and see if it works. I decided that instead of doing this, the same thing, because we've been doing the same thing for so long, let's try something new. Because that's how public radio does it. Public radio does things where they have fundraisers like, 4 times a year or something. They raise what they need for 4 or 5 months or however long, and then they, don't fundraise again until that time period's up. So I said, okay, we always have a 8-year anniversary fundraiser, and we always have a monthly fundraiser. What would happen if we, instead of having the monthly goal like we normally have to pay the operating costs, what would happen if we had one fundraiser where we would try to, in 1 month, strictly in the month of September, raise everything we need to operate until, say, January or February. So instead of, being $900 goal or whatever for the month, our goal this month for our 8-year anniversary fundraiser is $4,000 goal. And with $4,000, we can operate and not have to have any sort of fundraisers or any sort of asking for donations or anything else for the next 4 months. And I thought, what would that be like? I can't even imagine what that would be like. How awesome would that be? I thought, well, maybe we could do that as an experiment. Maybe we could make this work. Think about that. What would it be like to hear me do 4 months worth of shows and whatever else and not have to have any fundraising or ask for donations or anything for a whole 4 months? And then after 4 months, we do it again. We have the same goal again before we raise that amount. Instead of doing it, because I tell you what, for me, that would be the most awesome thing ever. Because I have to spend so much of my time fundraising and figuring out how to keep this thing afloat that it takes away from the time when I could be working on a film, working on doing research, working on doing new audiobook readings, working on doing more radio shows. All the energy could be focused on that, even if it's just for 4 months. Even if we just do it once and we don't do it again or whatever have you. What would that be like, ladies and gentlemen? I just think it would be incredible. There's no telling what I might accomplish or, what kind of shows we might have. Free and unencumbered from the burden of, having to wonder every month if we're even going to survive and even be alive next month broadcast. Because it's a constant thing for me that I have to stay on top of, that really is the biggest detriment and the biggest thing that takes away and hurts my work. So I just decided this month, you know what? Fuck it. This is our 8-year anniversary. Let's try something different. Let's try and just see if we can create something different and a new experience, both for you, the listener, and for me, the presenter. Let's see if we can just do something different for once. Let's see what happens. Because I think it would just be incredible. I can't tell you how fired up I would be to get up here, even for 1 month, even if it was 1 month, even if we had the next 2 months handled, even 2 months, 2 months of not having to do any. 4 would be absolutely incredible. But even if it was 2 months of not having to do any fundraising at all, we have the next 2 months covered, whatever. God, that would be cool. I don't even know what I'd get accomplished. There's no telling. Because I'd be so amped up and fired up, and I know I wouldn't get any sleep. Because we'd be, unencumbered by the burden of having to worry about the operating costs. Because that's eventually, that's the goal. That's where I want to be eventually. I want to have enough irons in the fire and have enough material out there and have enough listeners and video sales and sales from memberships and all this stuff to where we don't have to have any fundraisers. That's the ultimate goal. I don't want to have these every month. But we have no choice if we're not going to succumb to a model of, sponsors and advertisers that are going to want to restrict what I talk about and say, I've been there, I've done that. I'm not ever going to do that again. Again, I wouldn't be opposed to having some people who, have something I believe in, they want to advertise or sell, whatever, that's cool. But I'm never going to do that advertising thing where I have to restrict what I say to worry about whether or not we're going to be able to make it month to month. That was the whole reason why I started this network back in 2009, was that exact reason. So it's up there at my website. The banner's up there right now. 23 days left to go. We have a lot of perks for this month's, for our 8-year anniversary fundraiser, where we're going to try and raise enough money to cover the operating costs for the next 4 months. $4,000 is our goal. Donate $100 or more. 6-month archive membership and a free download from the download shop. Donate $1,000 or more. Lifetime membership to the archives. Unlimited free downloads from the shop and a huge prize pack. Donate $2,000 or more. Lifetime archive membership. Unlimited free downloads from the shop and a very, very large prize pack. Now, donate $4,000 or more. Lifetime archive membership. Unlimited free downloads from the download shop for life. A personal call from me. And the biggest prize pack we have ever given away, ever, which will be worth thousands of dollars. And also, as always, we have the Amazon wish list. If you want to support us that way and you don't want to make a cash donation, you can purchase something off of our Amazon.com wish list. It gets sent right to me discreetly. You don't have to have my information or anything like that. I don't have to even have your information. You can even make it anonymous. I think if you don't want me to know who's sending it, you can do that. And we have lots of things we need for filmmaking and radio shows, and soundtrack stuff for these films is up there on the wish list as well. But however you do it, this month we need to kick this thing into high gear. I want to kick this thing into high gear. I want us to get all the support that you were going to give to our network for the next 4 months. Do that this month. And then let's see what it would be like to have a few months of me unencumbered by the operating costs. I think it would be spectacular. And by all means, if there's somebody out there you'd like to hear me interview, send me an email, globalrealityshow@gmail.com. Got a book suggestion? globalrealityshow@gmail.com. If you, what else? Another thing I want to do as well is I want to make a film. I've had this idea for a while to make a film that comes from an idea from the public. Let me ask you this. As I've wanted to do this for so long, as I think it would be just a cool experiment, because I know I can do it, and it would just be groundbreaking, I think. I want to know what film you would like me to make. If you could pick one subject for me to make a film about that I've never made a film about, what would it be? Think about that. And when you decide on something, email me at globalrealityshow@gmail.com and let me know. Because I don't know if I'm going to put a cap on this. I don't know how long I'm going to do this, but we'll just say starting now. I will pick the best, what I think is the best idea given to me by a listener, given to me by someone out there in the general public. I will take the best one and I'll do it. So make it good. Make it something where I'm going to go, oh, yeah. Oh, I'll do a film about that. And we'll worry about, we'll worry about funding it or how much it'll cost to do it or whatever after the fact. But aside from all that, just be thinking about if any kind of documentary film, on any subject, think about any subject, the one subject you'd want to see me make a documentary film about more than anything else. And send that shit to me. And I'm going to take the best one. I'm going to do it. Because I think that it would be interesting to see someone make a documentary about something that someone else wants to see, other than, making something about something that, because for me, my documentaries always come from the standpoint of, is there a film out there about that already? I looked at, when I made my first film, 9/11 New World Rising, that came out 8 years ago this month, it came from the standpoint of, okay, there's some 9/11 films out, but a lot of them don't have the stuff that I found, so I want to make something, put it in there. And, now, of course, most of that stuff's been used a million times, so it doesn't have the same importance it had back then. But that was my standpoint of same thing when I found out about the CNP, the Council for National Policy. I said, I have to make a film about this. And that's when I did the Secret Right films, and same thing with the Rock Wall, So, but I'm interested to see what film ideas you all out there have. So shoot those to me, globalrealityshow@gmail.com, and I will take the best one and I will make a film out of it. And I'll, of course, we'll announce a winner, and the winner will get a prize and all that stuff. And you'll get you'll get the credit for being the person that came up with the idea. You'll get all the glory for sure. But I wanted to do that as an experiment, and I thought, what a better time to announce that or talk about doing that here than in our 8-year anniversary. And I just, as tough as it is to survive and do this without any outside funding, there is a certain pride that comes with the fact, and you should have that pride as a listener as well, that everything we've accomplished here. And I mean, look at the fact that I've been able to make it on, national radio shows, and I've been on TV now, and this is with virtually little attention being paid to me by the quote unquote intelligentsia, because I'm pretty much and with good reason and by my own volition, really considered persona non grata within the whole circles of the conspiracy world, which is, hey, that's fine with me. I didn't get into this to make buddies. That's what people get into this kind of stuff, and they think it's going to be holding hands and fucking kumbaya. And I was idealistic like that when I first got into this stuff, but the fact of the matter is, we don't have time to make friends. I'm here to get out information and get you some information and knowledgeable about things that expand your own knowledge base, so that you can then take that and pass that knowledge on to somebody else. So I'm very proud of the fact that we've been able to achieve everything we've been able to achieve here, all the full-length films, all this stuff, and it's all been from just regular people pitching in, chipping in, and making this happen. And that's rare and unique in this day and age, and I don't know of anybody else that's done it the way I've done it for as long as I've done it now. With no sponsors, with no commercials, with no advertising, with no funding from special interest groups and without having to whore myself to a left or right political party or anything else like that. So that's why I want to celebrate this. That's why I think this should be a month of celebration for 8 years of that achievement. Not only for me, but for you as well. For all of you out there, for every person that's ever bought one of my movies or bought a download or a subscription or to the archives or made a donation. Every one of you has been a part of that. It's a little bit of ownership in that, because none of it would be possible without you guys. So it's tough day in and day out doing this, and oftentimes there isn't time for gratitude. So that's why I wanted to make the time to show you my gratitude and to tell you how thankful and grateful I am for all of you out there. And but right now, just again, the biggest thing we need is just a shot in the arm to get this thing kicked up to the next level so we can keep it going. I've been tediously working on the Spellcasters. I don't know when that film's going to be done. I want it to be done this month, but goddamn, I don't know if it's going to be done this month either. Might not be done until next month. I don't know. I've been working my ass off on it. That's all I know. Whew. But another thing I wanted to tell you about in terms of my gratitude, a lot of you know I sell crystals and gems and all that stuff on the side, jewelry. I do all that. I started that up about a year or so ago. And I recently got my Etsy shop going back. I had it closed down for a while because they slapped me with a bunch of ignorant fees and crap, and it just piled up, and I didn't have the money to pay it off. But I got it paid off, and it's back up and running now. And this month, in honor of our 8-year anniversary, strictly just for the listeners of this show, we have a special Global Reality 8-year anniversary 20% off deal for our Etsy shop, which you can find by going to www.etsy.com/shop/Let There Be Rocks. You can also find Let There Be Rocks on Facebook. And I think we might have links to it up on our website as well. I think it says Gem and Mineral Sale or something like that on the top right-hand corner of my website. I think you click there, it either takes you to the Facebook page or takes you to the Etsy shop. But anyway, use the coupon code Global Reality. Very simple. One word. Don't put any spaces in there. One word, Global Reality. Put that in at checkout, and it'll get you 20% off. We could even do that. We did that last year for the 7-year anniversary. It was pretty successful. We did a clean out the shop thing. We could do that again as well. If you don't want to make a cash donation, hey, go buy a bunch of stuff in our Etsy shop. If we had everybody using that 20% coupon and everybody, bought every item in our Etsy shop, we'd be good to go for quite a while. So there it is. We have a lot of amazing crystals and pieces up there. And I'm very passionate. I'm just as passionate about crystals and minerals and very knowledgeable about that stuff. If you need a specific type of crystal for a certain type of usage, I can suggest that. But go check out we've got some amazing stuff up there. If you're into, I wear a ring, a lapis ring, which of course the lapis was revered by the Sumerians and the Anunnaki and the Egyptians. I wear that ring. I wear also a what's it called? Larimar ring. Larimar is known as the Atlantean stone. It was the stone that was predicted would be found by Edgar Cayce. He predicted a blue stone would be found in the Caribbean. It's found in the Dominican Republic. It's the only place in the world it's ever been found. This was found, it was only discovered years and years after his death, after Edgar Cayce's death, and he talked about how it would be a stone that would be found near where Atlantis was located and whatnot, and there it was found. It's a very powerful stone. We have several pieces of that up there in our Etsy shop, but we've got artifacts in there. We've got all kinds of stuff that's suitable for investment, stuff you'll see a return on. I mean, all kinds of amazing stuff. You have to go check out Let There Be Rocks. Go check out our Etsy shop. We've got so much crazy stuff in there. We've got Moldavite, we've got opals, we've got Larimar, we've got Aralite 23, Super 7. I mean, we've just all kinds of Herkimer diamonds. We've got aquamarine, tourmaline, Mexican fire opals. Just, you name it. We've got all kinds of rare stones. And a lot of these jewelry pieces we have, especially ones with the different combos, most of our jewelry pieces are one of a kind. Once it goes, we don't get in another one, even if we try. These are all handmade, and the person that makes these makes once and never makes someone again. We've got meteorites in there. I mean, just all kinds of stuff. Get yourself a basket full of stuff from Let There Be Rocks and use your Global Reality 20% off discount coupon. But yeah, I wanted to tell you about, all the so much stuff that we've been getting going here for the 8-year anniversary. I wanted to get up here and tell you all about it here tonight. So go check out Let There Be Rocks. And all this stuff, you can find all the things I talked about at my website, theglobalreality.com. But I'm really psyched up about the fundraiser thing. Man, if we could raise that whole amount this month and not have to worry about operating costs till the 1st of next year, wow. I mean, I really think that it would be 4 months of legendary material that people would be revering and still listen to years from now. I mean, people are still listening to, I get messages every single day from somebody that's listened to the Emerald Tablets of Thoth or Lost Book of Inky every day, man. Those readings went farther than I ever thought they would go. I never dreamed those would end up being like the biggest things I ever did. Yeah, I never thought it would. They have been, though. That stuff has reached more people than I ever dreamed it would. Those readings have, and I enjoy doing those readings. And if you haven't heard our most recent ones, we have a 3-pack, the Atlantis 3-pack that has 3 really good ones. The Atlantis and the Giants, that was a great one, and Our Story of Atlantis was really, really great as well. All those are up there in our download shop. Go and check that out. All right, let's see what kind of news we got to get into here with you tonight. Yeah, this is a story I was going to cover a couple of weeks ago, and I forgot to cover this. And I saw it posted somewhere, and it reminded me, this is just, goddamn, this is hilarious. This is one of the funniest stories I've read in a long time. Washington woman claims to be in an intimate relationship with Bigfoot. Listen to this, guys. You're going to laugh your ass off of this. This is hilarious. Nancy Hoggart, a Belfair, Washington resident, has quite an unusual claim. The former marijuana farmer boasts of being in an intimate relationship with none other than Sasquatch himself. Hoggart recently told Bigfoot Tracker that the couple met way back in 2008. So I know what you're thinking. Straight up off the top. All right, well, she smoked a little bit too much of her own stash, and now she thinks she's seeing Bigfoot and having a relationship with him. That's it, right? Oh, no, ladies and gentlemen. I wish it were that simplistic and that easy to write off. No. It's way funnier than that. And here's the I'll read this in my lady voice as I quote this lady. Bigfoot was standing there eating all the buds off my plants, Hoggart said. At first I wanted to run because he's very scary. I thought he might eat all of my marijuana plants. That's how I used to make a living. I pointed my shotgun at him and he put up his hands, scared. Oh, so Bigfoot responds to shotguns, huh? You put a shotgun towards Bigfoot and he just puts his hands up, scared, right? Okay. That right there, number one, there's my first fucking clue. This ain't a fucking squat you're dealing with, lady. This is a fucking dude in a suit. And that's all there is to that. But let's continue. Let's see what else she has to say. But then something happened that was to change Nancy's life forever. Oh, what could that be? That's when I looked down and I noticed that he had a huge erection between his legs. I hadn't gotten any in a while, and, well, from there, it somehow turned steamy. I don't know if he started it or I did. He did me from behind, and I've got to admit, it felt kind of great. Whoa, 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 whoa. Wait a second here. Slow down. And there's a picture of this lady here, and she's cougar material. Let's just leave it at that. She's definitely a cougar. So she has marijuana plants. We've established that. She says he thought he might eat all the marijuana plants. Now, wait a second. I've never heard any stories of that. I think that would have made my radar. I think that would have been in High Times or something. Not that I read High Times, but I think it would have been somewhere. You know, somebody, I would have heard that story by now. Somebody would have made a movie about it. Cheech and Chong would have made a movie about it. That's the first I've ever heard of any reports of, why would this lady have a preconceived notion that a Bigfoot would eat her marijuana plants? Are Bigfoots known marijuana plant eaters? Because if they are, we probably got a bunch of guys in fucking suits going out eating marijuana plants fresh off the vine. I don't give a fuck if it's not cured. I'll just eat it off the vine like a cherry tomato. I'm sorry, I've never heard any reports of Sasquatch Bigfoots eating fucking weed plants. I've never heard that. Why would that lady even be worried about it? So she goes from, I thought he was eating my marijuana plant, so I pointed my shotgun at him, and he puts it, as soon as he puts his hands up, scared, and puts them up, that's when you're like, all right, dude, take the fucking mask off. Take the fucking suit off, bozo. Let's see who you're under there. Sasquatch is not going to know the universal symbol for what happens when someone aims a gun at you, which is to put your hands up. Come on. We're supposed to believe that? So she goes from that to put your hands up to, that's when I looked down and noticed he had a huge erection between his legs. So she's like, put your hands up, Sasquatch, and he does. And she doesn't think there's anything strange about that. And the next thing she knows, she looks down and he's got a fucking Woody. And so she hadn't gotten any in a while, and from there, somehow it turned steamy. Ugh. I don't know if that's good or not. That's not the word I'd use. Turned steamy. It's not, what did he fucking take a dump on your head? Are you into that? Are you into scat play there, Nancy? Or whatever the fuck you're, Nancy, whatever the fuck your name is? I don't know if he started it or I did. Wait a second. You don't know if he started it, so you don't know if he put his penis in you or if you said, put your penis in me. You don't remember which one of those took place? He did you from behind. So, okay, so Sasquatch is also fluent in the art of doggy style. Wow. I guess those facts have just eluded me all these years. This lady's made quite a groundbreaking discovery. She's discovered in one fell swoop that Bigfoots and Sasquatches, number one, like to eat marijuana. Number two, get huge erections when confronted and have shotguns pointed at them. And number three, are quite versed in the methods of doggy-style penetration. I mean, and still she's not thinking anything's up here? Come on. But it's not the physical side of love that Bigfoot is so adept at. He's an old-school romantic, too. He's so sweet and caring. He brings me flowers and mushrooms, holds me while we stargaze. The only downside is that he doesn't speak English. I've taught him how to say my name, but it's kind of garbled, and he mispronounces it. None say. Bless him. The couple plan on testing science to the maximum and trying for a baby in the near future. Once I'm pregnant, Bigfoot, or John as I call him, and I are going to settle down and live a quiet, domesticated life at our house. He loves living in the forest, but I'm sick of the long-distance relationship. I have to commute for 3 hours to be with my man. It's getting old, and gas is expensive. So what about the future? Will the couple ever leave Washington State to see if the wider world will accept them in their bizarre love? No, probably not. Government scientists will just take him and dissect him or try to turn him into a soldier to fight ISIS or something. You know how the government is. That's the best line in the whole thing. Government scientists will probably just take him and dissect him or try to turn him into a soldier to fight ISIS or something. You know how the government is. But now that marijuana is legal in Washington State, I don't have an income. So capitalizing on my boyfriend's fame is the only plan I have to make money. I might start selling my story to a TV movie for the Hallmark Channel. A bizarre story of either cryptozoological interspecies love or intense mental illness. Either way, we wish Nancy, or Nunsay, all the very best of luck in the future. So obviously that's, a concocted fake story, but maybe it's not. I don't think it's a concocted fake story at all. I think this lady's dumb, and I think she got a hold of a dude who dressed in a Bigfoot suit to go swipe some weed plants that apparently she's just growing out in the fucking open. No greenhouse, no fucking indoor grow up. No, fuck it. Nancy Nunsay's just got her shit. She's growing her fucking Maui Wowie out there old school, just out in the fucking yard where Sasquatches and fucking rodents and shit can get to it. She's old school. She's growing her some stanky danky up there in fucking Washington. And dude comes on, well, fuck it, man. I mean, whoever this guy is, we had to give this guy a fucking award. This guy is the envy of all men worldwide right now. This guy, dressed in a squatch suit, went to swipe some buds from this old cougar. And while he went to go eat buds, he inadvertently went on a cougar hunt while he was there. Well, him some cougar strange. All the while, he's convincing this dumbass lady who's stupid enough to grow buds outside where Sasquatches can get to them. Can you imagine the mindset of the guy that did that? You imagine him talking to his friends. Dude, she just grows that. She's just growing out there in the open, dude. She's dumb. She's dumb with a bunch of rocks. I ran into her at the grocery store the other day. She's dumb, dude. I'm telling you, if I roll over there in a Sasquatch suit and start eating her buds, I'll get fucked up, number one. Number two, hey, I might get me some cougar ass while I'm over there. It's going to be genius. But not only that, but she's all down with it. Like, oh, yeah, this dude's a Squatch. It's not for any second is it in her mind that this dude may be a dude in a suit. And the fact that he's versed in doggy style. Boy, I tell you, if it's real and there is a guy that pulled that off and did that, I tip my hat to you, sir. My goodness gracious. That is fucking hilarious. This dude, is the envy of all his friends, man. They're like, dude, I can't believe you pulled that shove. You got this bitch really thinking you're a Squatch. Ate her fucking bud and banged her out doggy style in a Squatch suit. I mean, sir, you get the Bill Murray Excellence Award for that. I mean, my goodness gracious. That's one of the funniest stories I've seen in a while. How ISIS profits by wiping out history. Jihadis drive up the price of artifacts by sparking outcry over their destruction, then cashing in on the notoriety. I've been talking about this for years. Because for years they've been giving these so-called looters, when we know this stuff is state and military sanctioned, all this antiquity acquisition that's going on over there on the ancient sites. But they, for years, have been feeding us this bullshit lie that, oh, it's just random looters, who are doing all this destruction. And, oh, by the way, these looters, when they go and loot these museums, whenever there's, emergencies going on, they always have such a key eye for antiquities. Because the people who do these kind of smash and grabs, they grab whatever they can. But the narrative they spin to us through the media is that these guys know to go what artifacts are reproductions. They go right past those, go to the vault, get the good shit, and now they're spinning the yarn that, oh yes, they're destroying this stuff to drive the price up. Any narrative they can spin to go against the real one, which is that this is state sponsored, and really the people who have the most to gain and the most to lose from this is Israel. Israel wants this to happen. They're the ones that are behind this. ISIS is of course fully state sponsored by Israel, by the Mossad, and they don't want the real truth of the origins of their religion that they proclamated and basically took over and absorbed lock, stock, and barrel to come out. So they'll spin every yarn they can. Oh, well, they're doing this just for money. They're driving up the prices. The Islamic State's unrelenting desire to destroy ancient history is often put down to their hatred of anything that promotes idolatry. One archaeologist, however, argues that they have a far more practical motivation to boost profits for their terror war and to cover their tracks. Over recent months, the group has released a number of images of videos showing its fighters knocking frescoes off temples and razing ancient sites like the Syrian city of Palmyra to the ground. But antiques expert Joanne Farka says that far from being destroyed, stolen artifacts such as stone faces and statues, the very idols they are supposed to despise, are whisked out of the country to be sold on the black market. And, what they do is the governments and the powers that be take what they want, destroy what they want, and the rest, they don't see them as a threat. They just, they sell. But, rampant destruction of ancient archaeological stuff has been going on in all countries for many years. The Smithsonian openly admits, ladies and gentlemen, I've read this in their articles, the Smithsonian openly admits that they have taken literally metric tons, dump trucks full of artifacts containing shards and languages. They admit that every time the Smithsonian finds a language they can't identify, anytime, if they find a language they can't identify an ancient artifact, you know what they do with it? They destroy it. That is unbelievable. But that right there alone tells you what their whole agenda is. Anything that doesn't fall into what they're willing to admit exists is considered persona non grata, trash, garbage, not up for discussion. They openly admit that's their policy of the Smithsonian. If we find something we can identify, we have it destroyed, because if we can't identify it, we can't tell what it is, so there's no use in us having it. We might as well destroy it. What kind of fucking logic is that? The ones you can't identify should be the ones that you are studying the most, that you put the most importance on. But no, they just want there to be the ones that they can readily identify, ones they can easily explain away, and that's what they want to be history. And so you can't just contribute this to one country. This is all countries of the world. This is going on all over the planet. Rampant destruction of the past to keep the narrative of the present in place on into the future. That's the plan. That's the goal. Let's see what else we got here. Oh, keep going. What else we got? Hold on. Bear with me here. Got a lot of stuff to weed through. The Birmingham Quran fragment that could shake Islam after carbon dating suggests it is older than the Prophet Muhammad. Fragments of the world's oldest Quran found in Birmingham last month. They predate the Prophet Muhammad and could even rewrite the early history of Islam, according to scholars. The pages, thought to be between 1,448 years and 1,371 years old, were discovered bound within the pages of another Quran from the late 7th century at the library of the University of Birmingham. Written in ink in an early form of Arabic script on parchment made from animal skin, The pages contain parts of the surahs, or chapters 18 to 20, which may have been written by someone who actually knew the Prophet Muhammad, founder of the Islamic faith. The discovery was said to be particularly significant as in the early years of Islam, the Quran was thought to have been memorized and passed down orally rather than written. But now several historians have said that the Parshas might even predate Muhammad. It is believed that the Birmingham Quran was produced between 568 AD and 645 AD, while the dates usually given for Muhammad are between 570 and 632 AD. It destabilizes, to put it mildly, the idea that we can know anything with certainty about how the Quran emerged, and that in turn has implications for the history of Muhammad and the companions. Yet again. So, we now know beyond any shadow of a fact. The three major world religions, three Abrahamic religions, from Judaism, Christianity, Islam. We all already knew this, but it's further confirmation of what most of us anyway, the researchers, people like you, already knew. All these religions are much older than what we're told, and they're all changed, manipulated versions of what they originally were. And, everything we've been told about religion is a lie, and everything we've been told about science is a lie. And the quicker people understand that, the quicker they're going to be able to wrap their minds around this stuff. But so much of this crap now, and God damn it, someone told me when I switched gears, because I've been doing, I'd been exposing the phony conspiracy truther movement for many years and been making the Secret Riot films, and I switched gears and wanted to go towards the Rockwell thing and the Lost Secrets stuff for a while, and I'm still on that trail. I'm still working on Lost Secrets 3, and maybe we'll be able to get the money together to finish that thing at some point. But there was this thing in the back of my head when I switched gears a couple of years ago. There was this thing in the back of my head where I was thinking, well, I wondered, and there were people out there, listeners and stuff, that sent me emails wondering about that as well, how it would affect, the whole scene with there not being as much focus on exposing the elements that are putting out disinformation on topics that seem to be on board with everything else that we all already talk about. And, I'd hope that wouldn't happen, but of course it did happen. Of course it happened. I mean, there's more disinformation and more bullshit out there now than there ever has been, and it's coming from the same sources. And it's always sources that are based in Christian ideologies. And I'm sorry, if the basis of your conspiracy theory or the basis of your whole thing is coming from a religious text, I'm looking at you, September 23rd, fearmongers. All those sources all trace back to fear-mongering Christian sources. I'm looking at you, flat earthers. All that stuff is coming from, that's the flat earthers, their biggest piece of evidence, and their big to back up their theories comes from, well, the Bible. And they take it and skew what it says. Oh, it says here. And then, of course, the Quran as well talks about the flat earth. If your basis for that is coming from religious text, the Bible or the Quran or something, you don't have a dog in the race. Everybody knows we've been lied to, and these religious texts, even though they have a lot of truth in them, there are a lot of things that are based on actual events and stuff that happened. They've been misconstrued, changed, edited, rewritten. None of that stuff can be taken as an absolute authority on anything. So that's what's happened is I spent so much time exposing the priest class. That's what was the biggest thing I learned from researching the Secret Riot film, Secret Riot Volume 1, Secret Riot Volume 2, was how much these religious people that claim to be quote-unquote religious and Christians and whatnot are in bed with, these organizations that don't have anything to do with their supposed Christian background. And they're always the ones that are putting out fear and disinformation within the conspiracy world. And I'd exposed that for years. And it's happening and doing it all over again. And yes, people are falling for it. But again, those people don't have a dog in the race, because if you're still using the Bible to back up your theory, you might as well go home. Because the fact of the matter is, and this is what I found in my years and years in research, because when I started researching the Council for National Policy and the Secret Right, I really delved into the levels of control and who really controls things. And the bottom line of it is that the entire world system, whether you call it the New World Order or whatever you call it, is at the top controlled by the priest class. And it always has been. Going back to the days of ancient Sumeria and Babylon and Akkadian. In those days, there wasn't government like we think of it now with congressmen and senators and presidents. It was the priests. And the priests had the knowledge that was passed down to humanity through the secret society networks, like the beginning secret societies like the Brotherhood of the Snake, the Brotherhood of the Serpent. And then that was how the priest class were established. And those who had supposed communication or the knowledge of the gods would then dictate to their people based on that knowledge. And we all know, no matter what year you live in, that absolute power does what, ladies and gentlemen? It corrupts absolutely every time, doesn't it? And that's eventually what happened. That's how we became enslaved. And people look at it, because we have these figureheads now. We have congressmen, senators, heads of state, this, that, and the other. That's why all those people are nothing but fakes. That's why presidents have no power. They're figureheads that are designed to make the general public think that those are the people in charge. Meanwhile, the people in the priestly class and castes are the ones who are really controlling things from the top down. I mean, it even says in the Encyclopedia Judaica, the highest authority for the Jewish faith, that the Rothschilds are the guardians of the Vatican's treasury. That's their whole job. The Vatican has acquired so much wealth and so much, going back to the dissolution of the Templars. That was why they saw the Templars as such a threat. Templars were setting up their own banking system. They were setting up the credit enslavement system. They were becoming a threat to the priestly classes, and the priestly classes shut them down. Because they didn't want anybody coming in and running over their game. And it's amazing how many people in the conspiracy world still don't realize who's really in control, who's really running the show. Because if they did, they wouldn't fall for these bullshit, phony lies that come from people that are propagating stuff from religious sources. That's why they hate me, folks. That's why they don't allow me in their little circles. That's why they don't invite me to their events and their conferences, because I have been the only fucking guy who's been up here for 8 years screaming and telling you who the true source of power is and where it's really coming from. And that is the priest class, the religious hierarchy that controls this planet, are in charge, and everybody else, from the bankers to the Rothschilds and everybody else, is subservient to them. They trickle down into the secret societies, into all of that stuff. They've been behind the scenes running the show from the very beginning. They still are to this day. And yet people are still running around arguing over who controls things, who's really running things, not realizing they're buying into these lies and these things that are supposed conspiracy theories being propagated by the priestly classes. That's why it's important that you see the connections to these priest class people and the CMP people to Alex Jones, and when you see the connections like Phyllis Schlafly and these other people connected to Scientology, it's all one big thing, folks. It's all controlled in one big web. And that's what they don't want you to know, and that's why they've been afraid of me. But I'm here to tell you right now, I'm not done exposing you motherfuckers. I may be venturing off into other topics from now, but I'm not done, and I'm putting together my dossier, and it's going to all come out eventually. But make no mistake about it, the priest class runs the show. They have from the beginning. They run it today. They have a different face on it. The public thinks it's one thing. Really, it's another behind the scenes. But in the olden days, it was just out in front. It was just the priests ran things. They were the government, and that was it. But they learned to conceal that over time so that people can never really trace back the real roots of control and never hold any of those people who are really calling the shots accountable. And meanwhile, we have the puppets and the scapegoats and everything else that appear to be running the show to the general public, and that's why none of those people are ever brought to justice, because they're working with the recognition of the people running the whole show. That's why people like Kissinger and others never, wanted for war crimes in multiple countries, never brought to justice. But yet, don't pay your parking tickets and they'll come and get you. See how that works? So, I may have gone off and explored other topics for some years, but I'm not done exposing the phonies and exposing the real power structure, folks. That's what I've done. That's what I'll continue to do. My name is Josh Reeves. Please support our work, theglobalreality.com. We'll see you next time. Take care.